Boom! Welcome to week 5!
Oh, that was a bit cheesy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure it suits us, but...
Don't edit out.
No, we don't edit.
Keep us real.
Yeah, so week 5, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
This week, so we're talking about training.
Yeah, so what happens is, Pure Lifestyle, if people haven't seen it before, we predominantly talk about nutrition, heavy, weeks 1, 2, drift it out into week 3, keep the accountability checked in from a nutritional point of view because you understand calories a little bit more, and then we start to get people more confident in training in the gym, and especially from week 5, where we start to talk about, it's labelled in the ebooks that they get as the best ways to train, but obviously there's no kind of best way to train, but it's to give people an idea of and some clarity and confidence of using resistance machines, maybe some free weights, and why that potentially might be better for people if they're comfortable with it long term. Yeah,
and I think initially anyway, a big barrier that people put up to exercise is saying that they don't know what to do, that they're not sure what the best form of exercise is. And because there's so many people telling you that like HIIT training is the best, or resistance training is the best, or cardio burns the most fat, and it's so confusing because you don't know what's best for your goals. And I would say initially anything is good. So if you're going from someone who's inactive, even just starting going for a walk will bring you huge benefits. And even if you go to the gym and just think, you know, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, I'll just pick these 3 machines that I kind of know what to do on, that's better than nothing. And actually, when you're starting out, you will get really good results from anything you do. And people in the industry sort of term this like newbie gains, but basically you can get huge results in terms of strength, fat loss, exercise performance from doing actually very little with very little thought put behind it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is anything you do is good. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put a bit of thought behind it and that you couldn't get more results if you place your efforts in the right places, which is kind of what we're about to speak about. But also know that don't let that be a barrier to you thinking that you're not quite sure what form of training you should be doing. Just do anything. And then when you try a few things, you'll probably find what you gravitate towards or what you enjoy most. So whether that be classes, or you like, you know, doing some machines on your own, or you're really interested in the free weights, whatever it is, you can sort of anything. I guess exercise, the best exercise for you is going to be what you enjoy and what you continue to do. That should be the biggest foundation. When it comes to maybe getting more results, you might need to think about it a bit more, but exercise specificity is a very long word, is only like really relevant to people who have specific goals. So if your goal was to run a marathon, you should be running, you know, and you should be training specifically for that goal. Or if your goal was to have the biggest bench press you could possibly have, you would train specifically for that goal. If your goal is just generally to lose a bit of weight, to feel good about yourself and to improve your health, those goals are very broad. It doesn't hugely matter which form of exercise you pick.
No, especially not at the start. And the only thing I was kind of wanting to add on the back of that is, like, if you were going to put this in order of priority, a lot of people will turn around and think, oh, I need to go and do I don't know, I've heard or seen on social media, I need to do a leg day to get this look, and I need to do a back day to get this type of look, and so on. And none of that is kind of wrong. It's just what you've just prioritized is you need to find something that you enjoy, and you need to find something that you can stick to. And I think they're 2 of the biggest, most important points about this. And it's like the next thing, I would probably, even before you got to the specifics of training, what to do and how to do it, is you've got to be comfortable in the environment. Like you just mentioned, classes. Mm-hmm. Classes are a great environment for you to be around like-minded individuals who are also probably, especially in a pure gym, at the start of their journey as well, so they can kind of relate to you and you probably feel comfortable there. And even if coming out of your classes, like you need to find what's right for you, what environment is right for you. Like at first, it might be pretty daunting to go into the weight room, so you might find an area of the gym that you're completely comfortable in with a set of dumbbells, a kettlebell or a barbell or whatever that looks like, and you just perform your exercise there. Like anything is better than obviously nothing. And I think people put so much pressure on of the best ways to train, and if I don't do it this way, that I'm going to fail. And that's one of the reasons, like, similar to what you've talked about a few weeks before, when people get demotivated by scale weight, they'll stop. Something like with the gym, it's my expectations are, if I do this, I'm going to get this result, and that might not come as quick as you thought it would come, even though newbie gains and so on. So then you'll think, there's no point in me carrying it on. And I suppose these levels of how you check yourself from a competence point of view as well in that environment. Like, if it means that you've gone to an environment in the gym that you've never been before, like that closed area with a barbell, that's progress. Mm-hmm. So that should positively affect motivation. If it's that you started with a 10 kilo dumbbell and now you're on, or sorry, a 10 kilo barbell, now you're on a 12.5 fixed barbell, that's progress. Like, if it's that you've moved away from that area into another area, like, you need to measure progress in different ways, not necessarily that you're now doing 12 reps and you was doing 10 reps and so on. I think people can put a little bit too much pressure on themselves as to what's right and what they need to do versus managing their expectations and getting that environment right for them.
Yeah, and I would also say that I like to keep exercise and fat loss quite distinct. Now, obviously, burning calories during exercise will contribute to your calorie deficit if you don't then overeat. And we will come on to that later, actually, but will contribute to your calorie deficit, so it will aid fat loss. But even if you lose no fat whatsoever, but you've started exercising, you are doing your health the world of good. So I don't like to tie the two together, because often, you know, people might comment and say, oh, you know, I've seen you've started going to the gym 3 times a week, but you've not lost any weight. So what are you doing there? What's the point? That is the most stupid thing. Like, being active and exercising and using your body has benefits far beyond weight loss, far beyond fat loss. And yeah, like I was saying, like, I can't get this point across, like, firmly enough. Like, if you lose no weight whatsoever, but you've started exercising more, your health will be so much better.
Yeah.
So don't, again, attribute like any success to it. It has to be weight loss as the outcome. Even moving, and do you know what? Even if you're not particularly progressing in the gym, you're still doing a huge amount of good. Just walking a couple of times a day, or, you know, for 10 minutes a day. If you're someone who's completely sedentary or is obese and hasn't, you know, done exercise for a long time, those small steps will have massive, massive improvements in your health. So yeah, don't get discouraged by that or lack of weight loss as a reason not to exercise because it's maybe not working for you. And I'd also say that using your very valuable and usually quite short period of time in the gym, be that half an hour or an hour, you know, you can get a hell of a lot done. That is enough time in the gym if you really prioritize your time and don't sort of faff around and play on your phone. Like, half an hour in the gym is actually enough to get a very good workout in. If you've got that time there, do not use it to burn calories. You use it to stimulate your muscles, to work your heart, to get fitter, stronger, feel better about yourself, de-stress, whatever. It's not a time to burn calories. The rest of the day, that is a time that if your fat loss is your goal, you're going to want to burn calories. So you try and be as active as possible. You eat towards your calorie target. But yeah, I think people get a bit, or focus too much of that short period of time they've got in the gym on burning calories. And it actually sort of comes back to a post you put up today, which was a bit clickbaity, and it said something along the lines of fat burning workouts are making you fat. But like, elaborate on why that can be the case.
So something that's quite popular that I see, especially in commercial gyms, is the use of the term fat burning exercise or fat burning workout. And my issue, and before I continue, I've definitely used them terms before.
Oh yeah, same.
My issue with that now is that I kind of come across some kind of like a paper that someone shared, and I was like, God, this is really interesting to kind of share with others, and especially with other PTs, because I see it so often from whether it's influencers on social media or personal trainers saying this is my fat burning workout or this is my fat burning exercise, the best. And essentially what that went into is that the more people recognised that they had done a fat burning workout, the more they then went on to overeat, purely out of the fact that they've told themselves, I've just burned fat, so I can reward myself with X, Y, and Z. And it was one of them penny drop moments for me, and I'm like, God, this is really going to kind of go a long way with a lot of PTs to help realise it. And it's very similar, and I related this to, I hate the term cheat meal or cheat day or treat or whatever you want to kind of label food. As soon as you label something, that people will normally have a struggle to overcome that. And with this, from this occasion, like fat burning workout themselves, it just kind of proved that as soon as you tell yourself that I just burn fat, so then I can go and eat what I want, or I can go and eat this and this and this, and this happens so much, and it seems to kind of trigger and related to a few people anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a brilliant point, and I think like extrapolating it even more, people do, and the research has shown this, and that paper you referenced also has, you know, shown it on a scientific level, that if you exercise, you tend to think you can eat more, or in other words, you always maybe even subconsciously, but even sometimes consciously, think that you have burnt more calories than you have during your exercise. And you know, anyone will notice this, and even though I'm very well aware of that, I'll still do the same. So say I was having like a lazy Sunday, but I was like, right, well, I'm gonna get up and train in the morning, and then I'll sort of like chill out for the rest of the day. I feel okay about moving a lot less the rest of the day, because I'm like, oh, but I trained this morning, like I did a 45 minutes, like hit a few big body parts, cool, like I did a session. Realistically, how many calories I burnt during that session is negligible to the amount that I would have burnt over the day had I been active during that day. And I don't mean anything like extreme, like going on really long cycles or walking up massive hills. I just mean genuinely going about your day-to-day life, getting your 10,000 steps in, and being active throughout the day, rather than doing a big workout and then sitting on the couch all day. Like, you will burn more over that day because it's a bigger period of time, and people completely underestimate the amount you can burn just by being active, or how little you burn when you're not active, and also how little you burn during these short periods of time. So an hour, even if you're doing sort of continuous exercise for an hour, is never going to burn that many calories in comparison to the rest of the day. So I think that's something to be aware of in yourself, that, and most people have that sort of subconscious, oh, well, I've exercised today, so I probably burnt more calories, so I can have a bigger meal, which sometimes might be the case, but do be aware. And I guess comes back to sort of everything we say here, is that like if what you're doing at the moment is working and you're losing weight, don't worry about it. If it's not working and you're trying to figure out why, it could be because you think that you've burnt more calories during exercise, and then you're overeating later in the day, and that's hampering your fat loss results. But again, if it's working for you, don't worry about it at the moment.
Yeah, I have so many things to talk about, and I should have written them down, that you brought up. Like that initial stage of when you haven't exercised for a while, you then get given some calories, or that first couple of weeks is normally a struggle for people. And I've had conversations with clients in the past and groups in the past that then first 2 weeks when you are exercising more, then obviously some people will be hungrier from that, and that's the struggle of that, I suppose, feeling like you're dieting in the first 2 weeks, and then your body just kind of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but your body will start to adapt to realise that once that DOMS period is out of the way after 2, 3, 4 weeks in the average person, then your body starts to adapt, and then you start to adapt on the amount of calories that you're consuming. So I think more so for people, it's a struggle with, I'm applying a new exercise routine plus these calories, and because I'm exercising more, I'm wanting to eat more, and that is an initial struggle probably for some people in the first couple of weeks. And I know now we're dipping into kind of nutrition a little bit, and then something that I wanted to kind of pick up with you, and it's something we've talked about prior to this, and the reason why obviously you've asked me that question is there's no fat burning workout, there's no fat burning exercise. Like, it all burns fat relatively, like depending on what you do, more or less. But like you brought up, like the industry, PT, social media likes to point you in the direction of this is the best possible workout for you, and that normally, and has been over the past 5 to 10 years, has been HIIT training is the be all and end all. And you broke that down and taught me a hell of a lot on that kind of live that we did before Pure Lifestyle. this Pure Lifestyle Coach one, regards to lists and kind of hit and what they are and what's best for each person and so on when there is no best. But do you want to kind of go into that? Because I think it is kind of, people are slightly confused of what is best for them, or what's, I don't know, you know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of hype about high intensity interval training, and the main reason it became so popular, I think, is because it breaks down one of the key barriers to training, which is that most people will say they don't have time. Now, you can't say you don't have time if you can do a HIIT workout in 10 minutes. So if you're looking for a time efficient way to train, that is a very time efficient way to train. The improvements in health that you see, some of the health markers are amazing. If you don't enjoy it, you can get these benefits from other things. I think it has been slightly overhyped, at least, and I think it's hard, in a way it's hard for any personal trainer, because you kind of want to give out in terms of marketing, you want to say this is the best form of training, or more like a simple sell. So, this is a fat burning workout, people know what that means, alright, it's going to help me burn fat, great, I'll go to that. Whereas if you're like trying to be really transparent and like, you can't sell that stuff, that's why it's so hard to sort of sell flexible dieting, like, it's moderation, or here's a workout you can do, it's not the best for you, but it's also a good workout and it will get you the results you want, but you could also do a million other things. And then you've given someone so many options that they don't know where to start or who to go to. So if you're telling someone, like, I can understand why personal trainers do it, because this is the best workout, just do this, you'll get results. They're not wrong, they will get results doing that, but it's not for everyone, because they might not enjoy it, thus they won't stick to it and they won't get as good results. So it is like, it's a bit of a balance, isn't it, that you need. And
kind of the reason why I brought it up is because I've been guilty in the past turning around and saying that not only is it time efficient, for most people it's more enjoyable than your average kind of steady state type of cardio that might be walking on a treadmill, running on a treadmill, cross training, bike work, or so on. That can be quite mundane and boring for people because of that, they don't enjoy the gym, so they don't stick to it. And that's just from my experience. And I've had a couple of people pull me recently in my group and go, do you know what? I actually really like de-stressing, sitting on the bike, reading and just going through it. And that's fine completely. But I think from my point of view is that there's so much confusion. And if I was to listen to conversations of family members, like, what is the best? And I think what we are getting at here is there is no best. It just you need to find something that fits into your life, that you enjoy, and that over time, the environment is right, but over time you think you can get better at. And I suppose that's exactly the same again for the way we start to talk about resistance training and free weights and how you apply them and how you get comfortable with them. Because something with free weights, and obviously predominantly we're talking to females on this group who take Pure Lifestyle. Don't get me wrong, there is some males, but predominantly there is myths around if I do this free weights resistance looking too big and muscly and so on, then hopefully we've started to dispel that myth. But what advice would you give someone who's not potentially delved into free weights resistance machines for whatever reason, mainly the environment, but going forward they want to do it and they just want a bit more advice on it?
Yeah, I mean, I would, and like, I don't want to look like I'm just trying to sell PT here, but I would, even if it's for one session, get a trainer and just say, like, look, this is what I want to start doing. I'm a little, like, if you are feeling unsure anyway, I'm a little unsure about the free weights area. Could you teach me the basics? I pay for 1 hour, but like one session. I'm not looking for ongoing support at the moment, but I just want to get to grips with this. And, you know, I think not enough people use PTs in that way. And you can get a hell of a lot from 1 hour with a PT. Yes, you will probably get more if you work with them long term. But if you tell them that you want to learn the basics and also make the most out of that hour, so write down the questions that you have, you know, use them for that hour. Like, okay, well, if I was doing this exercise or this exercise, like, what would be the difference? Why am I doing that? How should I put my weights away? How should I rack a weight? Can I do blah, blah, blah. Everything you want to know, make sure you get it out in that session. And you will find actually that probably a PT on shift would do that for you for free if you approach them in a nice and friendly way and not not just looking for a freebie, but like genuinely want to learn and want to help. Like most trainers are passionate about what they do, and they'd be more than happy to give you, 20 minutes of their time to run through a few things. So that would be, and also maybe pick a time when the gym is quiet to do that. That would be my top tip, like when you're first starting out. And also, if you're a woman and you're worried about putting on muscle, like, it will never happen by accident, trust me. I have been trying for years and years and years. Like, we simply don't have the same hormone balance as men, so we don't have as much testosterone, meaning that we don't build as much muscle mass. It's much harder for us to build muscle, which is a negative, really. But if you're worried about putting on too much muscle, you do not have to be at all. And any women that have put on a significant amount of muscle have either A, trained extremely hard to do so, or B, if you're looking at bodybuilders, potentially have taken testosterone and boosted their own hormone levels, which would never happen naturally or by accident again. So yeah, know that any woman that you think probably looks too bulky has not got there by accident. So don't worry about that, and also know that the women that you probably admire and have a nice sort of physique, like great bum, great arms, that toned physique that most people are aiming for, don't spend all their time on the cross trainer. They spend a hell of a lot of their time lifting weights. So it kind of comes back to what I was saying, that you spend that short period of time, half an hour to an hour in the gym, trying to build or at least maintain the muscle that you have while dieting. The rest of the day is for losing fat and sort of revealing that physique that you've got underneath.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout and a good point. And like the only thing I'd kind of touch on top of that is obviously the resistance. If you are wanting to kind of delve into that world and get a little bit more confident with it, the resistance machines are also a great start. Like, if you don't want to ask people, it shows the method on there and the breakdown of kind of technique and so on. You can't get the technique too wrong in a resistance machine anyway, so that's really
I mean, you can, but most people won't.
Fall down or something like that. But like, if it's something you just want to delve into yourself, the teaching points are on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worried about then how many you should do, because I also see, and it frustrates me sometimes walking into gyms and I see people who have just kind of done their exercise and then they're stopping in between when they could potentially want to kind of go and superset with another exercise, but they haven't got the confidence to do so. And this is where PTs come in and personal trainers have got to step up and help. But one thing you don't want to do is delve into that world and get bored. So you want to try and find the machines that you obviously like, enjoy, that you feel you can do, and then look at ways progressing. And like the ways to progress, you would think are probably, because of the way the industry likes to throw things at people, are complex. Like essentially, if you're on a leg press and you've earmarked 3 sets of 10 because that's something that you've seen before or been shown before, like how you get to it next week might be 3 sets of 11 or 3 sets of 12, and that just progressive overload with the same weight, or maybe increase your weight or shorten your rest or increase your sets and do 4 sets. And that, there is no real, it's not rocket science. Like, that's how you would progress it, and that's how you would progress most exercises. And if then you start to hit a brick wall and don't enjoy it, then change it up and maybe delve into the world of a barbell, dumbbells, kettlebells, and so on. The beauty with, like, I've just shared with my group on Monday, a workout in small spaces, because I think sometimes, especially in pure gyms, that you can get really, really busy and overwhelming. And if I'm not very confident with that environment, if I can just go and grab one piece of kit, take it to a corner and just go through 5 or 6 exercises, it's going to suit me. So a kettlebell, and going through kettlebell workouts you might see on YouTube, or I suppose we can share some barbell. Like, you can do so much with them, with just one piece of kit, and body weight as well. So
yeah, massively.
If it's too busy, I wouldn't worry that you can't. Don't tell yourself you can't do things. Just get yourself in a corner, 5 or 6 exercises, and if you need more structure, like you said, that would be an opportunity to ask a PT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you touch on one point which I sort of love to emphasise, and there's that whole myth that you need to keep the body guessing and blah blah blah. Like, your body or your muscles don't really know what exercise you're doing. They just know they're being worked and stimulated. You could get most of the same results doing the same routine forever, as long as you progressively overload. So what Anthony was saying about either upping the weights or upping the reps or lowering the rest period, or however you want to overload that. The reason that you change your program is because you get bored. Your body's not bored of it. You'll still get brilliant results from doing the same core exercises, and you'll notice that any good program has the same fundamental movements in it, because they're the basics for a reason, because they get results, because they work your big muscle groups like a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, or varieties of those. It might be the leg press, the chest press machine, the lat pull down. Like, these work your big muscles. That's why they're in there. That's why they sort of are the foundation of most training programs. And the way that you do those, or the extras that you do on top of that, is kind of to keep things fun and exciting. And now, I'm not underestimating the need to keep things fun and exciting, because if someone said you're going to do the same program for the next 6 months, I'd be like, there's definitely no chance I'm going to do that. I would get bored. In fact, I struggled to stick to a program for a week, but that's really bad on my part. But saying that, the fundamentals are still in there. So I might change my program around them, or the exercises I do around them, but I'd still do these core exercises and work those core muscle groups. So yeah, that would just be another point to sort of take away, that your mind will get bored before your body does, and it's okay to change things up, but I wouldn't change them too quickly or too often, mainly because, especially when you're starting out, but even with myself, if I get a new training program, and I normally do them in sort of 4 to 6 week blocks, the first week is basically getting to know all the movements. The second week you start to add weight, then you're improving on that, then you're improving on it again, and then maybe you're getting bored in that last week, and then it's time to change the training program again. If you change your training program like every 3 weeks, you never really progress and push yourself in those exercises, because you're still sort of getting that familiarization phase out the way. So if you change too often, it can actually be negative. You're not really tricking your muscles into working in different ways. It's more that you're not actually being able to push yourself because you're not used to those movements yet.
Yeah, and just on that, like, I think a lot of people get to a point where their expectation of when they're doing an exercise, for example, that they'll put a number in their mind, so like 3 sets of 10, and if that is comfortable, like, completely do that. But if you're finding that you want to make progress and push yourself a little bit more, there's no harm in not putting a number on it and just working to failure and basing. So for example, what I mean by this is, let's say you've just got bored of them 3 sets of 10, and then you're just going to go on one exercise like a leg press or a seated row and do as many reps as possible at the weight that you're on, and that will then base the program going forward off how many reps, sets and weight that you could do. It'll give you an indication of, can you lift more, and if that's the case, how much, and you can put that
or even like as a test for anyone at the moment, if you're doing 3 sets of 10 generally on most of the exercises you're doing this week, for me, try 3 sets of 15, and I bet you will manage it, because it's quite hard to keep pushing yourself. You think, oh, I'm actually quite tired at this, but you can do 5 more reps. Like, I'm willing to bet you can. So that just sort of like opens your mind up a bit. Oh, okay, actually, maybe I wasn't pushing myself as hard as I thought I was.
No, it's a good point. And then one thing to touch on that is, if it is hurting, it's probably working. Like, if it's getting to a bad point in your set where things are really starting to hurt, whether it's legs and so on, that means it is working. And that's at the point normally where some people will stop. And that's the opportunity for you to carry on pushing through. And I know it's easy for us to say and do, because we kind of live and breathe this stuff, but that is, but that's then the opportunity for you to grow and push forward. If it's hurting, it's definitely working. Cool.
We will wrap that up now. We've done 30 minutes. Don't want to bore you any longer. So we will talk to you next week.
Cool. Bye.